All right, welcome listeners from coast to coast. For those of you who are joining us for the first time, because this is our first episode, my name is Patrick Pacman Perez, and the wonderful Jayson Mendez, aka Chico, is also joining us, as well as the founder of this amazing podcast, Diana Gonzalez Lebu. Yay! Orale. We were just talking about the whole Los Sabo thing and coconut and yo soy pocho, and who knows what we are. But in the digital world, kind of like Severance, you can be whoever.
That's true.
Reality. So yeah, be whatever. So the mission of this podcast, for you wonderful listeners, Life and In Between, is a podcast dedicated to exploring the moments that shape us, big and small, expected and unexpected. From personal growth to professional transitions, we create a space for open and honest conversations about navigating life's changes. Whether it's a career shift, job loss, or finding purpose in uncertain times, we aim to offer a delectable insight, shared experience, and meaningful discussions that will help you feel seen, supported, inspired, and have the confidence to move forward no matter what is happening out there with all these crazy politicians who are just stepping into everybody's world and coming in and just chopping it up.
Greedy.
Yeah, it's crazy, but to keep it light and happy, I'm going to pass it over to Diana and let's get that vision statement.
Light and happy. Oh, so much. So I really am so excited about this. So, but I do, since it is our first podcast, I do want to cover our vision statement as well. And thank you, Patrick, for covering our mission statement. The whole point of this, our vision is really to be a trusted platform where we have diverse perspectives coming together to embrace change, resilience, especially resilience, and in between moments of life and career through our so we want to be authentic in our storytelling and real life experiences. We aim to empower individuals facing personal and professional transitions, offering a space that fosters growth, community, and new possibilities. So you know what? I think we're going to do it. What do you think, Jayson?
Well, yeah, I think we're going to knock this out. In these times right now, we need voices. There's so many voices in our head, right? And we just need one. We just need something where we can just chill, relax, calm, because right now it's just a crazy world out there, and talking and listening is healing. If we don't speak out, if we don't talk out, then we're in our heads 24/7. And I'm just so happy to join with you special individuals that I can feel like it was a blessing to be a part of this with y'all, and I'm looking forward to our future and adventures and journeys. So,
and speaking of healing, the only reason we brought you on this podcast was your laugh. You have we want to hear you giggle. Let's hear you giggle. Laugh for us.
Thank you, Patrick. I appreciate it.
Yeah. I'll tell you, Jayson has this contagious laugh that when you hear it, you just can't help but laugh. Especially what's happening in the world today. Left and right. We're seeing people being laid off. We're seeing people just losing their jobs. I've never, ever, if you would have told me 4 or 5 years ago that we would be in this predicament like the way we are today, I would have been like, no, I don't think so. I don't think, especially after going through COVID, I thought COVID brought the community much closer together. And after going through all that, even though we were living in our silos, but the moment that we were able to get back to work, we started reaching out to each other. And we found that through ERGs, through diversity, equity, inclusion in companies, that was like the tying unity between employees. I never thought that we would be in a situation like this. What are your thoughts, Patrick and Jayson, on this?
Oh, for sure. And sorry, Jayson, I'll let you jump in here too. I think the big thing was we were all in this together, during the pandemic. For the most part, everybody was locked down. Some of us decided to become high school teachers during that time, and we got shipped off to the high school. And
wow,
you're in person now. I was like, wait, what? Actually, you're hybrid now. Wait, what? And so that kind of like 9/11, we were all just American. We were all just part of this big tribe community. And then slowly but surely, I don't know, I don't want to point fingers, but certain people start coming along and they cause that division.
There it is.
The pandemic brought us together, but the first thing that's happened now is this, again, that division. You believe in DEI, boom, you're the others. Oh, you believe in, even critical race theory. Oh, you're the others. Oh, you wore a mask. You're the others. And so that division started coming in. And once again, here we are. It's not even halfway through the year. And I looked at my retirement fund.
Oh, no.
I was like, look how many tens of thousands I just lost.
Oh, God.
Due to, the tariffs. And again, pushing away our allies. And now, the DEI layoffs, the federal government layoffs. It's, I'm going to drink this water now. Jayson,
I mean, Patrick, yeah, man, 2020 brought us together. And I say most of us because the ones that, and I don't have the numbers, I was so focused in my music and art and just trying to figure out my job that I just became a corporate senior manager over design and training, which was unheard of for me, but I was going to make it work. And then, so that my head was just in the books, so to speak. So I didn't know what was going on around me other than I definitely knew about diversity and inclusion. I was, so about that, and had no idea, Patrick, what you just said to me. I had no idea that people were like hating on that 24/7. They were just, it was just so interpreted, and yet I think politically it was also used in a way to like, I don't know. Okay, as an example, y'all correct me, please. So I hear things where, okay, the reason why we're at is because diversity. We're hiring the wrong people. I'm like, the wrong people. Everybody went to college. Everybody got their degrees. It's all the same folks. So, for some political agendas, they're putting it out there and moving it in a way to where it benefits them. That's the only way I can see this, because other than that, we're all the same. We're all intelligent. We all sat next to each other. And, there's somebody else up there that is moving this somewhere else. And when I say most of us, when you said we got close together, yes, the people came close together. That we got together in 2020. And it's the people that matters, the people in the front lines, from first line managers, second line, third, and then fourth. But when you go a little bit higher up, money starts talking, right? The powers start talking. I saw this movie, this TV series, Succession. I had no idea what power meant. Just gonna leave it at that. And greedy, all this where we're at. I mean, I can't talk much. I'm more about action than words, and that's why I'm just happy to be with you guys, because y'all have the words, and or else I'll get more emotional.
No, that's I mean, you are taking action. We're all taking action by making a podcast, because I think Diana can speak to this. I mean, you were caught up in all of this craziness, and
yes.
I'm sorry, go ahead. Tell us the first, oh no, y'all, we're just changing and pivoting for the whole DEI stuff, and then whack. What happened?
Yeah. So I'll give you the corporate explanation. You know how we have all companies, corporations that give you the corporate lingo and saying, hey, you didn't do anything wrong. Performance reviews, my performance reviews were always on point, never had any, but unfortunately, the company decided that they were moving in a different direction, is what I was told. My role has been eliminated because they're just moving in a different direction. It's not because of external forces. It's not because of what you have done, Diana. It's nothing that, any financial, anything. Like, they did a reorg. And by the way, when you hear the word reorg in any company, be prepared. There are layoffs coming. no matter what. And so some people get impacted, others don't. They kind of just, survive, but they also feel the impact, because in that impact of them surviving and staying within the company, they now have to work the role that was eliminated. Right. They start designating and passing on all those duties to other people. So now they're going to have to work and hold down, instead of one role, two roles. They start getting more responsibilities and all that. Mm-hmm. So reorgs, from my past experiences in any, corporate America, it just means be prepared. There are going to be layoffs, and you're going to be impacted one way or the other, some form or another. Right. If you stay, you're just going to get more work, Yeah. And so I did. I was told, fantastic. It's you're great at what you do, but unfortunately, we're just going to eliminate your role because we are moving in a different direction. So, of course, from putting aside the corporate explanation, we all know what that was. Yeah. I was working with, I was working in inclusion and belonging, and I worked with the ERGs. And right now, that is not something very popular to be in. And we're constantly seeing companies changing the verbiages, all verbiages, so instead of hearing DEI, it's inclusion and belonging, diversity and inclusion. So if you look through, and then you also see all these different things, different titles. Now you are engagement officer, or you're an employee coordinator, so they're changing those verbiages so that basically the same role that you were doing before, to kind of just skate through and see if they can get away with it. Wow. I have my thoughts on what it's gonna lead to. But with companies, we're just seeing a lot of companies folding right now. But the point of this podcast is that when this happens, what do? I mean, there's two ways that we can handle this. We can either cry about it, which I did. I admit I cried.
Same here.
Yeah. And but then you got to take action.
Yeah.
You got to survive. You got to move. So, and you got to find your form of outlet to get past those negative thoughts. And, one of the things that when I started, when originally the thought of the podcast came from Jayson reached out to me a while back, saying, "Hey, have you ever thought about doing a podcast?" And I was like, at the time, because I was busy working, I was like, yeah, sure. Well, we can work on it, but we never did. And then the moment came when I was being filled with negative thoughts, and I reached out to Jayson. And then I thought about Patrick. Mm-hmm. One of the things about Patrick, I actually got to meet Patrick through one of our corporate events that he was one of our speakers. Patrick has, I mean, like, this man is amazing. I mean, hey, people out there, whoever's hearing, if you have a corporate event and you need a speaker, call Patrick. One of the things that Patrick covered, and I wanted to circle back to Patrick, was these negative thoughts. Cause I was in a bad state. I had a lot of negative thoughts, but I always remembered that ERG Summit where you gave that presentation, that propelled me. I was like, you know what? I'm going to take charge. Can you talk a little bit about that, Patrick?
Yes. Yeah. No, this is great. Everybody at home, give some snaps. Thank you, Diana, for opening up. And so, yes, I met Diana and several of her amazing colleagues last year at I guess it was y'all's global ERG summit. And so this was a really cool event. It was a lot different. My background real quick, for the last almost 20 years, I have just traveled the country as a professional speaker on leadership, resilience, and goals. Worked a lot with youth, the younger generations from middle school up through college. And then about the last, probably 5 or 6 years, it's been a lot of adult programs, so including corporate and teachers. Mm-hmm. And so one thing that it was actually, I think my brother who had brought this up years ago, and I was just like, wait, that's a good little nugget, was this whole concept called ANTS, automatic negative thoughts. And as I dug into this was actually a term coined by Dr. Amen. He's a brain scientist, neurologist who does a lot of brains. He's done the most brain scans, I think, in the country. And, he's got his pros and cons. But one thing that he brought up was this concept called ANTS, ANTS, which stand for those automatic negative thoughts. And what happens is there's times in our lives where something comes along, it could be a breakup, it could be getting bullied, it could be something that happened where you just felt less than early on in our lives. And we hold on to that trauma. And so when we are now adults, something happens. We get laid off, break up yet again. This anthill inside of us kind of breaks open and these automatic negative thoughts start coming along. It's like, of course you got fired. You weren't as good as so-and-so. In my case, a lot of times these automatic negative thoughts come when I go to dance competitions. I'm a b-boy, breaker, break dancer. And so yes, I see these other dancers and those automatic negative thoughts start coming in and saying, you're not as good as that person. Remember that time you competed and your shoe went flying off into the audience? Remember that time you did a true story, you did an event and you hurt yourself. You had a $1,500 foot injury. And so these automatic negative thoughts start coming in, chewing away our confidence. And what research has shown is that a lot of our thought life is indeed negative. And this goes back to our hunter-gatherer time because these negative thoughts create the fear, which would keep us safe. Oh, that cave looks scary. There could be a lion in there or a tiger, something. And so these automatic negative thoughts at one time kept us safe. But like most things that our hunter-gatherer ancestors used in today's society, they don't serve us. And so now these automatic negative thoughts come up when we face hardships, setback, challenges, change, mergers, reorganization. And we find ourselves slowly, like Diana was saying, you cry, you go through this grief, and then these automatic negative thoughts are coming in. It's like, yeah, you probably won't recover from this.
Wow.
This is the big one. This is it. And when we start learning about the thought patterns, that a majority of our thoughts are negative, but also a majority of our thoughts are repetitive. And so those things start getting into the cycle. And for those of you who are listening, if you're in that cycle, do what Diana did. Do like Dee, where she reached out to the community. She reached out to community. She actually, I think you Facebook messaged me first, kind of letting me know, like, hey, there's some changes are coming. Oh, man. And what it was, you started dealing with those ants right away. You don't let those ants just stay there. You start doing something about it. In your case, it was reaching out to community. And, then you started restructuring. It's like, oh, wait, this podcast. You reached out to Jayson. And so for those of you who are listening who have been laid off or restructured, reach out to your community, because as I said last year, it's you adapt and you survive, you connect with others and you thrive. And research shows this. I was actually doing some research yesterday for a grant that I'm writing. And all the research showed, like even during the pandemic, that those who felt like they belonged, that they were included, they fared better than those who got stuck in isolation. Because in isolation, those ants turn you into a buffet and just... And so taking action, killing those ants, in your case, Diana, it was like you started rebuilding yourself. And that's how you started pushing back on those ants. You reached out to community. We're having church up in here, so amen.
Yeah.
And here we are. Like a month and a half later, doing this podcast because you decided to do something different. You decided not to let the ants chow down, and here we are.
Exactly. And I thank you so much for that. One of the things that I truly admire is also Jayson, where we walk the same path. And I've seen Jayson find different methods in dealing with his situation. I mean, because Jayson also, because we actually met in AT&T. We worked at a former company. Mm-hmm. And I was also, again, with the restructuring in that company was furloughed. And that was 10,000 of us at that time. And that was during the period of 10,000 of us were surplus in my group. And that was right when the pandemic just started. And so, and then I know, Jayson, you walked a similar path, but what I admire the most is that you do a lot of stuff to actually remove those thoughts, those ants, those that are chewing your brain. Can you expand on that?
Yeah. Yeah. So as you're telling me this, I don't know if it's still kind of healthy or not, but it does work. There's people that grieve differently, right? Where they got to go back to work. They can't sit and suffer, right? They can't sit in it. And others, they're facing it. That's the only way. If they understand it, they face it, right? They're living in it. They have to go through it so they can cope with it. While you have others don't want to face it. They can't handle it. They can't handle the pain. So they basically bottle it up, right? So when I lost my little brother to COVID in 2020, I had so much trauma growing up. From my parents divorcing to my mom, marrying this stupid cop where, he was a woman beater, alcoholic. His 4 kids were, using substances and things like that. And then all of a sudden they all move in. It's me and my brother and my little sister. And, there'll be times when we go visit my dad every other weekend. I come back and I'm hearing from my friends across the street from the apartments versus my relatives are saying, hey, your stepsister just, and your mom, they fought in front of the front yard again. It's just, hair pulled, and it's just, I'm like, what's going on? What? And then of course, I see my mom's face beat up because she fought, a side chick of, her ex-husband's, and it was just so much. And I remember calling the police, because he was hitting my mom, and then here's the police, and then I listened through the window, and they're out there laughing. It's like, hey, well, don't hit her, stop hitting her. And he's like, whatever. And I was only like I think like 8 or 9 years old. So you grow up through this mess, and when I lost my brother, I think that's what triggered it. I basically lost it, and then here comes the job where everything was moving, light speed still, the company, right, the part of technology that just keeps moving all the time, 24/7. That particular type of company, you can't just sit back and chill and recuperate and heal. And for me, I'm out of it, and I basically shut down. It's when you have family and friends that are transitioning, they're leaving, they're gone, they're dying, and you have all these people around you that don't care, that don't believe that it's happening, and yet it's happening to you. That really pisses you off, and it's almost like disgusting that this is happening around you, and no one understood. Like it's one of those things where you meet me, and man, Jason's so kind, so nice, he's weak, but they mistaken that, right? It's like, no, I'm loyal to you, and I'm looking out for you, and I want to build our trust because we're going to work together. But as soon as you mess that up, I'm not bending over backwards for you anymore. And that's the type of person I am, which I find out there's millions of others just like me. And then they find out in the workforce, it's like, hey, they suck. No. You messed them up. You screwed them over. And that's what's going on there. Well, with me, how I cope, to go back to, your statement there about me, Diana. So yeah, I do a lot of things, and you're right. From audio recording engineering to video production to learning graphic design, I find myself like, oh wow, I'm actually just trying to keep myself busy from hiding the pain. But at the company, I did realize that I needed help. I've always known I needed help. So I went to the programs that they were offering there. I forget what you call them, Diana, or Patrick, where they have the internal programs to help you cope and things like that. Like you had counseling, things like that, therapy that you can go to. And so that's where I find out that I have severe anxiety, depression. I already knew I had depression. It runs in the family, and because I knew it, I was able to cope with it. So I thought I was able to work with it. But guess what? I'm still affecting everybody around me, right? I'm either too nice, you're overcompensating, and people like still look at that as like, man, he's too nice. Something's wrong with him, which is true. But still, it can flip on a dime, and you have to recognize these signs yourself in order for you to like, oh shoot, I flipped. Okay, hey, sorry, that's like just one of those days. As long as you know. But once I got help, that totally changed, and it did help me out because I had to talk it out. I had to talk this out to somebody that it felt a whole lot better to talk to somebody who was more professional at listening to you. You can talk to your friends and everything, but they're gonna say, "Oh man, well, I hope hope you'll be good tomorrow. I hope you're okay. Hey, I'll pray for you."
Mm.
Okay, sure, yeah. But it's just something different when you talk to somebody professional that this is what they do for a living. This is how they pay their bills. This is what they are focused on you about. You know what I'm saying? So I also learned that this negativity for me, it's that negativity is attached to history. And for me, I was always thinking about the past, and the past in my situation is nothing but negative thoughts. And when you think about the past, usually you want to look at the history so you don't repeat yourself, so you don't repeat those actions, right? You don't want to repeat the history of those mistakes. But those mistakes also are negatives. And so if you're thinking of the past, guess what? You're thinking of the negatives, and you're living in the day of that negativity. So if the first thing you wake up in the morning and it's like, okay, I know I don't want to do this. All of a sudden you're like, whoa, I'm in this negative vibe. And now you have set your day in this negativity.
That's good, Jayson.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to zap that away. Just remember this. As a kid, you were not thinking like this. You were thinking, what can we do today? What can we do tomorrow? You're moving forward. You're what is it? Forward thinkers. Diana, I think one of y'all has mentioned this. You're forward thinkers, and it's the best compliment I can ever receive, because I'm like, oh, that's right. That's why I keep moving forward, because I'm like, I love moving, because something's gonna pop. Something positive is gonna break out of this. So as a kid, that's what we were doing every day. What are we going to get into today? What are we going to get into tomorrow? If you can think like that, all that stuff, all that negativity, in my perspective, will sit in the past, because you already know what that is. Stop thinking about it. Just move forward. Easier said than done, but at least you have an idea what that sounds like.
Yeah, you're giving light at the end of the tunnel, hope, and exactly what you're saying. I mean, we just got into the whole mental health stuff.
Yeah.
You went and sought help beyond your friends, beyond coworkers, to a professional. And, everybody raise your hand if you had to go. No, professional. Yeah. I got 2 hands and a foot. Yeah, it does. Counseling, psychologists, everything. Yeah. And I'll just throw this in there real quick, what you were saying. And I had heard this years ago. I don't know if it's true or not, but they were saying that when NASCAR drivers are racing, they're, going billions of miles an hour. When they start getting too close to the wall, they instruct them to look away from the wall, because if they focus on the wall, they start slowly driving towards it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And, what you focus on is what you gear towards. What you feed is going to be stronger. And just like you were saying, you can focus on what you want, even though those negative thoughts will start coming in, like, wait. And it's like the little angel on this side and the little devil on this side, and just
yeah.
Pop it off. Yeah, pop it off.
That is so true. I have a love-hate relationship. Well, at least for therapists and psychology. Well, at least my last one convinced me to continue seeking therapy and loving it. Mm-hmm. I'm going to tell you a funny story. I actually was seeing a therapist when I lived in Florida. And so I would go in, and I was one of her last patients, because it was one of the latest appointments. Mm-hmm. And I kid you not, she fell asleep. What? I fell asleep. I was talking to her. She fell asleep. And I was like, and I confronted her. I said, I don't believe that you fell asleep, because that was the one thing, because my therapy session was, because at the time I worked in a call center. I won't mention the company's name. I was constantly hearing I was a customer service agent at that time. I transitioned from sales to customer agent. And so all I was hearing was people complaining. And it was just like, I need therapy because I need someone to just hear me. I just want to talk and listen to somebody. Thanks. And so when she asked me, why are you coming to therapy? It was one of her questions. What can we work on? I said, listen, I'm going to be very honest with you. I just need you to listen to me. Just listen to me because I hear people all day and I'm not going to drive my family members crazy. Because at one point, everyone gets tired. As much as our family loves us and our friends, when you hear that same thing over and over again, they get tired. Let's be real. And we tap into their energy. We get them drained. And at that point, they're like, oh my gosh, I can't deal with this. This is too much. So I'm paying somebody to listen to me. I said, I'm paying for you to listen to me. And that's what I specifically told her. Just like I told you, like I said it right here. That's what I told her. I said, I'm going to pay you to just listen to me. Oh my God. And so she falls asleep in one of our sessions. That was our last session. And I said, excuse me. And so she's kind of like, gets a little startled. And I said, you did the one thing. You could not do the one thing that I asked from you. Mm-hmm. And I'm paying you. And you fall asleep. And she was like, and she was gaslighting me. No, it was something with my eyes. Oh, I kind of get tired. And I'm like, oh, stop it. So it took me a while to get back into therapy and all that. And so this is the bad side of therapy. Now I'm going to talk to you about the good side. So I found this wonderful therapist here in Texas, fantastic gentleman. And so when I lost my job with a former company, another, got furloughed, the one that I mentioned previously, I didn't have any more money to, my insurance couldn't cover it. Yeah. And he actually saw me for free.
Oh, wow.
He saw me for free. And that's a real true therapist. And he says, you know what? Come and see me, because I want to continue seeing you and don't worry about the payments. And that restored my faith in therapy and people, because that's his job. But he knew that I was in a lot of pain. He knew that I was coping and I was in a dark place. And he said, you know what? Keep coming to our sessions and I want to continue seeing you. And he didn't have to do that. So that restored my faith. So for those that are out there, they're contemplating, I told you the good and the bad and all that. But listen, if you need therapy, it's help. You just got to find that right person. Make sure you don't find someone that falls asleep on you. You get
a discount or money back or?
No, I didn't even get, listen, because it's been a difficult journey. I've had like the worst luck in therapists. So I had that one that fell asleep. I had another one that started off in the beginning that was just talking about money. Oh. She was like, okay, we need to put your card on file. And our session was my very first meeting. Wow. And it was like talking about money. And I'm telling her, you're eating away at my session. We're talking about money. Yeah. Never saw her again. That was another. So I was like, man, we're on 2. This is strike 2. Then, wow. I mean, like literally, I had one therapist back in New York I was seeing. And when I walked out of that office, I was in the waiting room and there was a therapist that came out and his patient left and he came to the receptionist and there was another therapist that came out. I was sitting in the waiting room and he says, man, I just came out of a session that was the Twilight Zone. She is so freaking weird. And I was like, what? What? Am I hearing this? Okay. So I went in. So I'm like, whoa. So I'm not knocking down all therapists because again, my faith was restored on this wonderful gentleman that was seeing me for free and was there truly to help me. And he did help me.
That's great.
So, but I just kind of want to share all the kooky therapists out there.
Hey, people are people,
I know.
It's just, you're going to get some strange ones out there that, we're not used to and maybe we'll never get used to, but still,
No, that is crazy. That is great. I mean, and you could make another podcast where you talk and you put people to sleep. And that's a big thing. My wife uses somebody she listens to at night and just lulls her to sleep.
Oh,
So boom! There's your $1 million idea.
there it is.
That's crazy. Yeah. And so for those of you listening, find a therapist, find counseling. There's I know here in Central Texas, I don't know if y'all have it in Dallas. There's a company, there's BetterHelp. You know, you see all those ads online, BetterHelp, Televero. That's one I use right now, Televero. And even maybe through churches, you know, when my wife and I were going through just relationship counseling, you know, and again, because when you get married, it's two individual lives coming together and merging. So there's things to work through.
Yeah.
We actually were able to get counseling services at a huge discount or maybe even for free through like the Catholic charities or something. And so there's options out there. There's options, or even Chat GT, you know, give me some counseling.
Yes.
Journal prompts.
People, don't be scared of AI. I mean, people created AI. AI didn't create itself, you know?
Ooh, that's good.
That's good.
I didn't know that. No.
Those people, I mean, I swear, people are so scared of it. And if you don't use it, you can get left behind.
The singularity, the matrix became self-aware.
That is so true. Another thing, and kind of like if you're kind of not ready or you don't have the resource, I mean, there are a lot of resources out there that you can get for free or very low for low income. Yeah. But there was another thing that I actually did that helped me out that was very therapeutical for me was painting. Painting was my thing. And I actually, because I'm a CASA advocate, a lot of my kiddos, I'm an advocate for the Dallas CASA. And so a lot of my kiddos, we would paint. And so these kids are children that are going through the foster care system, that are being separated from their families. They have trauma. Some go through, very traumatic backgrounds, sexual, trafficking. I mean, things that you can hardly imagine. You just wonder, how do these little human beings have that resilience and they bounce back after all these traumas? And so one of the things that I would do with them is paint. And paint is therapeutical. I mean, that's just one form. So you find writing in journals, a podcast like this, so you got to find something, music, listening, creating music. So I just kind of say, like, just kind of explore, do something different that you never thought that you would ever do, and just try it out. Yeah. And you may find out that you may love it.
Yeah.
Go out dancing. It'll put you in a new community.
Yeah.
Do something different.
Yeah, most definitely. And again, not to scare people in the AI, Chat GPT, you can download it on your phone and it can be your second assistant in life. All you got to do is just type in and say, well, where do I get help? What do I do? Where can I go dancing? And it's going to tell you where you can get these resources. It's really simple. Don't be scared of it. Again, people created the AI. It's going to get information from people around the world, and it's just going to give you what you want, give you what you're asking for. Really simple information. It's like Googling, but a little bit more advanced.
Exactly.
And so if you want to try it, this is what I did, because I'm using Chat GT as well.
Yes, sir.
For journaling. So for the listeners, what I did, I said, hey AI, Chat GT, give me a journal prompt every day using these 3 questions. I feel, and so, to open up, because that's one thing I don't do. I don't express my feelings a lot. So I say, I feel, so I have to respond to that prompt. What's draining me and what gives me life? And that kind of gets the ball flowing. And then I ask AI, hey, can you kind of give me your feedback? And it'll validate you. It's scary that it starts talking to me like my old roommate, like, hey, bro, dang, that's hard. I'm like, this is weird.
But it senses you. It not senses you, but it starts understanding your language at the same time. And it's asking questions, and it'll even say, do you want me to be more elaborate? Do you want me to be more detailed in this question that you're asked? It's in your answer. It's just unbelievable. It's just your second assistant. It's just amazing.
This is sorry, Dale.
No, go ahead. Go.
I was just going to say real quick, for the listeners, remember, mental health begins with me. You got to be the one willing to step out there. You got to be the one willing to ask for help. which, in America and our individualistic lifestyle, it's hard. So boom, back to you.
Facts.
Thanks. That is so true. I love that. Me. Mental health starts with me. M-E. Love that. Okay. With that, I think that we would love to thank everyone for joining us today. I mean, you guys are amazing. We have some really nice lineups coming ahead. So be on the lookout for our next episodes. They're going to be really fun and funny. And to subscribe, please subscribe to our, who's going to lead next?
Wherever you get our podcast, look on wherever you get your podcast.
iTunes, Spotify,
YouTube, MySpace. Yeah. Yeah.
You said MySpace.
Yeah. I think we could even post these on Tinder. We'll find somewhere wherever you get these. So, but no, this is good. This is good.
And for everybody out there, don't forget to just reach out to folks you haven't said hi to in a minute, but don't also forget to get ready to lend your ear.
Boom.
Love that.
Boom. Drop the mic. And with that, thank you all for joining us on this inaugural edition of Life and In Between.
Whatever. That's my face. Awesome. Bye, everybody. Love everybody. Y'all were great. Thank y'all so much for that.
Okay.
Peace and chicken grease.
I need chicken grease. Okay.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. All right. Thank you all for listening to our podcast. Next episode, we are starting a new series called This Sucks, Now What? Relationship ends, job gets canned. What do you do? We'll be listening to our own Jayson Mendez, so you don't want to miss it.